And welcome back to Square Off. We're looking ahead now to the stories we'll be talking about in 2023. We're back with our political insiders, Christine Jones, former Republican candidate for governor, and Tony Connie, former Biden campaign official in Arizona, and a former campaign manager for Phoenix Mayor Kate Gallego. The safest prediction of all is that we're going to be talking about independent Senator Kyrsten Sinema for at least the next year, maybe most likely into the following year. How does this end? This settle out, work itself out? Who's going to run for the Senate in Arizona in 2024? Well,
I think the Republicans are looking at this salivating. I think this is really good news for Republicans who didn't think that they could unseat Sinema very easily as a Democrat. But if you in a three-way race, this really is very helpful to a Republican, as long as it's a reasonable Republican. And
that's the question.
That's a real key, right? Because if you have three people and you only have one voice that's, sort of on the fringes, I think that's tricky for that person to win. But it's really helpful for the Republicans. In the Senate, I think she remains powerful. I do. In an almost evenly split Senate, I think she still has
evenly split Senate with a Republican House. Can she actually get things done? Can Biden get things done? So she may not have and she has several accomplishments.
It's really tricky. She still has friends in the House from when she served there, and she does have a lot of friends on
Andy Biggs.
We had to go there, thank you. But yeah, she does still have friends there, and I think, she ends up being really powerful.
Tony Connie, how does this settle out?
I'm not sure she's going to run, and she's been very coy about it. The polling for her in the Democratic primary was really, really bad. We're talking like 17% would vote. And when you only get 17% of the vote in a primary, that's not because only the fringe left is against you. It's been a complete brand collapse for Senator Sinema among Democratic voters. And she's underwater with independents, too. And this past year, her numbers with Republicans plummeted because of probably the accomplishments that she gave to President Biden. So she's in a really tough spot. We'll see if she decides to just straight be a spoiler. But if she runs, it could be anybody's game. But I do think it'll be a challenge for Democrats.
Business community still by her side. They like what she's doing.
Sure. Well, they want her to keep doing what she's doing in the Senate. We'll see whether or not, if she runs, if they stick with her, if there's somebody that's more likely to side with them than, with Biden.
Let's go to the state capitol. There's an open question about Democratic Governor Katie Hobbs' skills, governor-elect, I should say, as the state's chief executive, and how or whether she and the Republican-controlled legislature will be able to get anything done. How does Hobbs get something done at the Capitol in the coming year?
I think her best strength is the fact that she was in the legislature. She was the Secretary of State. She does have some policy development skills, and she does kind of know how it works. I think it's really tricky for somebody who's kind of never been in charge or the CEO of this massive of an organization. So I think she really is going to have to rely on leadership in the House and the Senate to come around her and sort of support whatever policy agenda she has. Nothing extreme is getting through this legislature because the Republicans are way more Republican this cycle than they were the last.
And she could just, Janet Napolitano, former Democratic governor's advice was veto, veto,
right.
Veto. Is that what we can expect?
I think so. And, when are we going to learn to stop underestimating Katie Hobbs, right? I mean, and I think that as governor, she is going to be in a position to try and bring people together to get some of the big things done that Ducey wasn't able to get done. We'll see if she can do it. Stuff like water, things like some of this education funding. And it is going to be a huge transition since there haven't been many Democrats in executive government in our state, in the agencies, for a really long time. But I'm looking forward to it. The legislature isn't going to be able to do some of the stunts. I mean, they probably still will, but they're not going to get away with them. They're going to be sending things to the governor's desk, and if they are outside of, what she wants, she's just going to veto it, and they're going to just have to deal with it.
One thing on that, I think Janet Napolitano is a capable leader, but that is terrible advice. Katie Hobbs does not want to be known as the no governor. She wants to go get something done.
Right. Pull people together.
Vetoing is not helpful.
Okay.
It's a good threat.
Shall see. You mentioned water, the deep discussion, but keep your eye on water this coming year.
Right. 100%.
It looks like Congress is going to have to get involved to just settle the battles out here in the West. Christine Jones, Tony Connie, thank you so much for joining us. Best wishes for the holidays.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. See you again soon. And we want to end